Divine greetings and gratitude, tribe. Welcome back to our home space. I'm super excited to have you here. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Nuna. I'm here to help you transcend beyond pain and suffering, manifest and expand your consciousness by merging the arts of poetry and magic. Before you decide to continue on listening to this message, I would love to invite you to subscribe to this YouTube channel to become a part of the Saiyonan collective. This is a space that I am rebuilding from the ground up so that I can help my tribe on their path of remembrance. That is my belief. My belief is that we are all on a path of remembrance and that we are returning home to ourselves. And therefore, what seems to be a transformation is just a grand remembrance and tapping into the information that we have deep within ourselves the moment that we decided to incarnate here on this planet. That is what I believe. And I do not mean to force my beliefs on you, but I just wanted to share that with you. So if that's something that you can align with, make sure that you do hit the subscribe button, because I do plan on giving you a lot more messages, a lot more readings, a lot more divine insight, a lot more poetry, a lot more writing and things like that, so that I can spiritually nourish you. I also do have the Saiyonan Ethereum. That is essentially a space where I do handcraft spiritual essentials to help you on your path for all of those amazing reasons that I mentioned earlier, to transcend beyond pain and suffering, to manifest and expand your consciousness. I do so through magic, writing, and things of that nature. I also would love for you to take a look at the website over at the SaiyonanPath.org. That's where you're going to find the Ethereum as well as the ministry that I am creating so that I can be of service to the community and the public and whatnot. And I also do have a website called NunaMakai.com. That is where you're going to find the blog. You're going to find writing pieces. You're going to find poetry, reflections, and things of that nature. All things pertaining to writing, including books and all things you would need. Now, enough of all of that. Thank you so very much for coming into this space. Let's go ahead and get into the messages. Divine greetings and gratitude. Welcome to the Saiyonan Collective, where we merge the arts of poetry, writing, and magic. I'm Nuna, and I'm here to aid you on your path of remembrance. Welcome to your spiritual safe haven. All right, so thank you so much, tribe, for coming back. As you can tell, I actually moved this desk into the office. So I'm sitting here in front of my bookshelf that has all of my tarot cards on it and my oracle cards. I decided to use this spot because it does get some nice lighting in this spot, and I just wanted to try it out. And plus, I just wanted to be in an enclosed space. I don't know why. I just feel very homey in here. Plus, I'm actually going to be doing some not renovating, but I'm going to be changing some things around, and I'm also preparing for a shop update. Yay, I'm super excited for that. I'm going to be adding some things onto the website, maybe or maybe not, I don't know, maybe taking some things down. We will see. And I'm going to be transitioning some things that are on the website, on the Saiyonan Path website, over to the Nuna Makai website. So we'll see. More than likely, what I'm going to be transferring over are the poetic bundles, or the poetry bundles. That's where you get a ritual kit along with the book. I'm going to be actually moving that over to the writing aspect. I think that would be really nice. But anyway, yes. I want to go ahead and start off with this. I am going to be working with the Tarot of the Divine. I'm going to make sure that I link this down in the description box, just in case you want to get your hands on this deck. I did get this deck from Amazon a while ago. I actually have a couple of these, or a few of these. And yes, you can just not go wrong. This is actually one of my most loved decks, actually. And yes, we're going to go ahead and get into that. I more than likely will not be pulling from Oracle. I'm only going to be focusing my attention on tarot. So the messages that I started to receive before even getting into the messages was the word harmony. And it's interesting because I was actually in the process of looking at what I wanted to change about the Ethereum and what I wanted to add. And I just wanted to make things different, because although I'm ruled by a sign that is very much traditional, I don't like always following tradition. In tropical astrology, my rising is Taurus, my moon is Sagittarius, and my sun is Capricorn. I have the sun Capricorn that's ruling my ninth house and things like that. And Sagittarius, my moon, rules my eighth. So I feel like I tend to deviate away from traditional things. And why am I saying that? I'm saying that because while I'm creating this path, while I'm creating these essentials, I'm always keeping in mind the future, and I'm always keeping in mind what kind of system can I create that's going to benefit my collective family in the future, even after I'm gone. And so that's what my life has been about. And I'm so glad that I've finally have not stumbled across it, but I'm so glad and excited that I'm finally in a space where I things about my life make so much sense. And maybe over time I will explain those things, some of those things and whatnot. We'll see. More than likely it's going to be in my poetry. So anyway, yes, the whole idea of this reading is, what are you harmonizing? Because the word is harmony, or what is harmonizing in your life? And I know that I've been picking up a lot today on this really strong watery energy, and I am picking up a lot on aquatic energy. So that's really interesting, which would make sense because we are, transitioning into Cancer season. So I feel like that definitely could have something to do with it. I tend to pick up on energies well beforehand, and sometimes I'll pick up on them, sometimes days, weeks, months, years before things actually do happen. So that could be the reason why I do feel that. But either way it goes, I feel like the focus again is what is harmonizing in your life. And if you are having trouble harmonizing something, what would that be? And I feel like that's just again what the focus is going to be. So I'm feeling like there's this energy where someone probably needs to, the word is recalibrate, but I feel like they're trying to recalibrate their emotional body, and it feels like the tsunami type of energy, which is so interesting. It does feel like tsunami type of energy, which is interesting because if I'm not mistaken, I believe it might have been last year, I actually did have a dream about a tsunami. And it's so interesting because while I can't remember all the full details, I do remember that it was my husband at the time who was deceased. My former husband who has passed away. I do not like talking about that. So I'm not going to get too deep into that, but I will say that he was there, and then there was like this tsunami, and we were in this house. And I remember that basically it had encapsulated the house, and there was like this really strong whirlwind. And at first I thought, okay, this is my own emotions, this is subjective, this is basically all that is going on in my own mind, in my own head, about my own emotions. But knowing that I pick up on things collectively, because Cancer does rule my third, I feel like that was not just about my own subconscious things, like, right? That to me actually does signify that there was something that the collective was going on, that the collective was feeling in specific regards to their home, to the upbringing, in specific regards to how they feel or how they felt within their own private spaces. And I feel like that's the energy that is that someone here could be going through. They may feel like their home, like in their home environment, that things are very tumultuous, like they're having a really hard time easing the friction between them and other family members. And I feel like if you are someone that's feeling that, chances are that you're asked to pivot, to move, to transition out of that space, because one thing that spirit is wanting you to prioritize is the emotional body, is the spirit, and are the things that really make you feel at home within yourself. And look at that. That's so right. Look at this. It's interesting because I feel like with these cards coming out here, there is a sense of burden that I'm feeling, and I feel like it has a lot to do with the fact that someone here truly does not feel emotionally stable fully, but that's because you're carrying a lot of the weight of not only yourself and not only the things that are going on in your own life, but you also have this capacity to pick up on the collective energy, on collective consciousness, on collective grief, on collective emotional turmoil and things like that, because you are sensitive. And more than likely, if you're someone who's here, you're more than likely a psychic, you're more than likely a seer, you're more than likely somebody that does practice their magic, and you more than likely are someone that has a really strong capacity or a great capacity to pick up on other people's feelings and energy. And I want to invite you at this time to really make sure that you are keeping up with that type of spiritual hygiene, because if you are not, then you imagine, okay, the way that it's kind of coming up is, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but if you can imagine, well, I'm sure you probably see it like on a movie or something, but if you can imagine this, just think of things that are just kind of floating in the air, floating in the atmosphere, and it's like a bunch of trash and things that are around. Imagine that being your aura. Sometimes what happens is that all of these different particles and things and trash and whatever else, it kind of floats around in your aura, in your energetic field, if you're not actively cleansing. And each layer of trash or each thing that is floating around is a representation of all the things that you're picking up, because you have such a great capacity to magnetize things towards you. Now, the thing about magnetism is that what people don't talk about enough for me is that magnetism is not just about you inviting in and you attracting beautiful, amazing things into your life. Sometimes it's the flip side of that. Sometimes it feels like when you're magnetizing, you keep attracting things that you would want to repel. And I feel like if you're not keeping up with your spiritual hygiene, chances are those things are going to feel more of a pull to you. So I feel like if you are listening to this now, it would be really wise, right? If you haven't already, it would be really wise for you to allow yourself to clean, to cleanse, so that you can harmonize with the things that bring you the most joy, with the things that bring you the most fulfillment, so that you can rest, so that you can receive the very things that you are wishing and hoping and really wanting. That's the whole point. So what is harmonizing in your life? Whatever it is that you've been wishing for, whatever it is that you've been wanting, purpose, that is what you're harmonizing with. You're harmonizing with purpose. The thing about harmony is that it does bring about a very benevolent and a very favorable aspect and element to it. And I say that because if you think about harmony, that actually does have a strong association with Venus. And it also does have a strong association with Jupiter. And I feel like that because if you take Jupiter and you take Venus and you conjunct them, or if they're conjunct, this does give you a beautiful balance and harmony of love, of partnership, of beauty, right? Of you being able to abundantly express the love that you have within yourself. You get a chance to receive the abundance of beauty, the abundance of love, the abundance of money, the abundance of all things divine. That's a beautiful thing. And I feel like that's exactly what I feel like is harmonizing in your life. I feel like you're harmonizing with purpose. I think you're letting go of things that are bringing you out of balance. Wow, look at that. And then, of course, you have the Eight of Cups here in reverse. I don't too much care for reading cards in reverse, but I will just kind of, wow. Oh my God. Stop it. Guys. Look it. Oh my God. Stop. Oh my God. That never gets old. That never gets old. That never gets old. You know what? I really got to bring this camera down. Give me 1 second, because that was wild. I was like, why did all these cards fall? Let me fix the camera because I got to show you this real quick. Hang on. My calling doesn't begin or end with writing. In fact, it begins in the quiet hours pregnant with inspiration and sparks of eternal light. It begins with the movement of spirit waiting within the spaces untouched by hands, hindered by sins who reach for salvation like it's the last drink of wine they'll ever drown in. The moment my intuition sways like sacred hips trance and invocation, I surrender. My body becomes the altar. There are moments I am guided through the magical process, and there are moments I merge as one with the Great Mother. Once merged, magical essentials, spoken word poems, and written pieces are born. Each silkened oil, pack of incense, fixed candle, and ritual tool is crafted in bliss to enrich your daily acts of devotion. They are intentionally crafted by hand, blessed by bloodline, and charged by the moon to ensure potent power that aligns with your intentions. These essentials are meant to help you transcend beyond suffering, manifest, and expand your consciousness. The word is breath in motion. The essential is the body grounded in ritual. They are only meant to serve your highest best as you journey your path of remembrance. As remembered, so embodied. The Ethereum has lived to serve you for 8 years. The wisdom has been rich and gathered through life experience since my childhood years. Give an offering. Reserve your essentials for your magical workings at the Saiyonanpath.org. Okay, the lighting more than likely fluctuated because of me putting the camera down. But listen. Linda, listen. Remember that little kid? Linda, listen. So basically, look at this. You have the Empress. We were just talking about Venus. And I made sure to shuffle these cards. I made sure to shuffle before I did the thing. And you have the Ace of Cups here, who is reversed. You have the Full card here. You have the Two of Cups, which does represent coming together. Like, come on, harmony. Like, harmony is a word. I love how that just played out. You have the Full card here, and look at that. That's so interesting because you do have mermaid energy here. You have this mermaid here, and then you have this beautiful mermaid here, and we still have to flip over those two cards. So I feel like you're coming out of this period of loss, and you're coming out of this period of sorrow, right? And you're harmonizing with things. And speaking of harmony, look, you have the Temperance card. This really does make so much sense. And I knew I was not tripping. I knew I wasn't tripping. I just knew I wasn't. Look at this. Beautiful. All this water, all this beautiful watery energy. And it's interesting because you also do have here the Two of Swords reverse. You have the Four of Cups, and you also do have the Death card reverse. I feel like with all of this watery energy you have, all these cups, you have the Ace of Cups that's here. I feel like I want to flip this upright. All of these beautiful, amazing cups. What I feel like is that there's something in your life that's happening where you're realizing that you don't have to continuously wallow in the loss. You don't have to continuously wallow in the sadness. You don't have to be submerged in the tsunami of these emotions, of these feelings, of these unfavorable things. If anything, Spirit is saying is that there does need to be a balance between what you give, what you take. And it also needs to be a balance of of your emotional bodies, of your spiritual body. And that's how you allow yourself to transform. But it should not just about transformation, it's about remembrance. So on your path of remembrance here, what you're doing is you're learning how to harmonize your heart and your mind, but also you're allowing your soul to shine through here. You're allowing your emotions to share with you, or to express, or to be expressed, so that you can dive into the wisdom and share that with other people. There is a great lesson you've learned here, and I feel like you learned a valuable lesson about walking away when need be, about letting go and releasing the loss, about keeping yourself in a space where you feel emotionally held back and pulled back and suppressed. This is where you allow yourself to emerge out of the waters and say, I want to go on land. I want to go explore. I want to go allow myself to be one with the world. I want to harmonize with the world. But the way that I do that is by allowing my emotional body to be seen, because it's okay that I express this part of myself. Because within myself, I am harmonized. I am in harmony with myself and others. I am in harmony with what I wish to receive. I am in harmony with love because I am love. And that's the most beautiful thing that I feel like Spirit is saying to you at this moment. Don't hold back your words of love. Share those with people. Let's see what you have here. You have the Six of Swords, another form of watery energy, and you have the King of Cups. Like, you have the King and the Queen of Cups here. This is what is harmonizing. Your ability to be compassionate, your ability to be emotionally intelligent, your ability to be very practical and very grounded in your delivery of your emotional feelings and hunches. And it's not just emotional, it's home, right? The Queen of Cups to me is the mother card. It's the mother of the cards. And well, she's one of the mothers of the cards, but I feel like she is the one that creates a safe space for you to explore your emotions, explore the spiritual aspect of you. She's the one who creates a space for you to expand your heart, expand your emotions, and really grow within that and really share that. And I feel like you're being called to harmonize with this softer, more nurturing part of yourself. That's the part of you that is also harmonizing. But I also can't help but feel like you're also creating that space for other people. But it takes you becoming one in harmony and in sync with yourself. And the fact that you do have the Empress here, you are magnetizing. And what makes you more magnetic is your ability to be emotionally receptive, emotionally intelligent, and emotionally prophetic. I really feel that. I really believe truly, without a doubt, that you are somebody that is just like that. You are so emotionally intelligent. And I feel like that's what you're harmonizing with that part of yourself. And it could be because you felt like you couldn't be that because people around you, they just kept taking advantage of it because they kept saying, or they kept making you feel like it was a weakness, or because they felt like they could purposely get over on you and things like that. And it's like, no, that's not what that was. And I feel like that reminds me of something that I posted a while ago. I think it was on Threads, and it was something about you keeping a note of who mistakens your kindness and compassion as a weakness, or as a weakness or something like that. Let me go on Threads because I want to make sure that I put exactly what it was that I posted. Let me see real quick. Because see, one thing about me, I will post something on Threads in a heartbeat, like, and then I'll go back to it later if I need to elaborate on something. Okay, here it is. Keep a note of who believes that your kindness, calmness, and compassion signal weakness and the lack of boundaries. I feel like that's what you learned. It's like you learned that, and you learned to keep a note of people who take advantage of that. And because of that, now you're harmonizing with other people who see the kindness within you, who see the compassion within you, who see the calmness within you. And they don't recognize that as a weakness, but it reflects the state in which they're in their life. And you're harmonizing with people that are like that. And I love that for you. So if I were going to work with this oil or this candle, well, this oil and candle that I'm going to be adding on to the Ethereum or into the Ethereum, it would definitely be for you to harmonize and connect with people who bring about this aspect of yourself, who can allow you to be someone that expresses this radiance, this harmonized, this, I don't know why the word is harmonic. I don't know. What is that thing? Harmonica. I think it's called a harmonica. That's the thing that's coming through. And I don't know if you've had an ancestor that played. Is it called the harmonica? I believe it is. Let me see. Yep. Exactly. A small rectangular wind instrument with a row of metal reeds along its length held against the lips and moving back. Yep, it's a harmonica that's coming through, which is so funny because harmonica, you would think it's wind, right? But I'm seeing somebody play a harmonica at a beach. It's like a harmonica, and I'm seeing like an ukulele, specifically an ukulele, like not a guitar. No, I'm singing ukulele or an ukulele, however you pronounce it. I'm seeing that being played at a beach, and I'm hearing a harmonica with the ukulele, and it's so funny because I've never heard them like play or ever seen them play together, but there's something about these two energies that are kind of moving together and like dancing together, and it may sound weird like when you first like think of it, but somehow in my head it's actually playing very beautifully. It's so, I can't even really even, I just can't even express it. It's so beautiful. But if you can imagine that, I'm not doing the best at explaining it, but it just sounds so amazing. And I feel like these forces that you would think that would not come together actually mesh together very well. And they are a beautiful representation of how well you have the ability to harmonize with others, truly. And I feel like I want to let you know this too. If you are really wanting something in your life, if you really see something for yourself, I feel like in order for you to receive that, it's going to have to take you to get up and go from whatever space that you're in at the moment. And I say that because the Six of Swords is moving on after the feeling of defeat. And I feel like it is not the end of the world, but it is the transitionary point where you start to say, okay, and you reflect throughout this transition. It's a period of reflection you go through while you're transitioning to say, you know what? I will not be going through this again. This is where I felt defeated. This is where I felt that I could not be myself. This is where I felt taken advantage of, and I will not return to this space. Instead, I'm choosing to harmonize with people that allow me or create space for me to be this radiant, that help me to radiate peace within myself. You're harmonizing with peace. You're harmonizing with people who are peaceful. I love that for you. And things that help you to create peace around you. Emotional peace, stability, all of these things. Emotional heaven on earth. That's exactly what you're doing. You're creating that. You are moving towards a space that can allow you to expand your heart space. Because that's what your remembrance is about. It's about returning back to your heart space. Wow. I love that for you so much. Truly. And I feel like this is your permission slip to allow yourself to heal, and not even just heal, but just to allow yourself to just be happy. Just be happy. Write your prayers, your petitions. Talk. Talk to your feminine deities here. Talk to your feminine ancestors. Talk to the ancestors that mastered the waters. Talk to your ancestors that lived in the water. Talk to your ancestors that used to be in union with the water, no matter where they were. And I'm seeing specifically like people that are like out at sea, right? It's so funny because it's actually bringing me to Moana and like, Voyagers and things like that. I don't know why that's coming through, but that's the vibe I'm catching. It's like maybe your ancestors were people who sailed, right? Maybe your ancestors are people who, utilize, the water to bring home. I don't know why it's coming through like that. Like they use the water to bring home. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, I feel like if I had to rationalize that, it would just be the fact that they used the water, they used the emotions, they used the sea in order to create home, or they had homes on the beach, or they lived near the water, they lived near the beaches, on maybe on the coastal regions. Maybe you're from Florida, maybe you are from California, I'm not sure. But either way it goes, like you have an ancestral line that lived near the water, and that's where they found the peace. They found peace near the water. Maybe you are someone that finds peace near the water. And either way it goes, if you were to go to that sacred space, you will then see just how well you can harmonize. And I believe that if you allow the wisdom of the water to enter within you, that you'll emotionally and spiritually expand. And I really do love that for you. I hope that this reading gave you what you needed. I hope that you received whatever messages that were meant for you. If you need anything from me, you can always find me online over at the SaiyonanPath.org, as well as over at nunamakai.com. More than likely, what will end up happening is that if you click on something on one website, it'll lead you to the other website. That way you'll never have to do too much clicking and too much typing. So don't worry about that. I already covered it. And yes, I will also love for you to become a part of the Saiyonan Circle. That is where I do things behind the scenes that I will not do in public. I will say things, give you certain readings, and teach you certain things that I won't necessarily give to the public. I will keep those things behind the scenes. That way we always have something to return to, just in case they start acting funny over here on YouTube. But anyways, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for just hanging out with me at this moment in time. Remember that these messages are timeless, and remember that you have the power and the capacity to emotionally expand, and that you have permission to harmonize. And may you always feel like you are living the best of your dreams, the best of your life on your path of remembrance. As remembered, so embodied. I love you. Take care, and I will catch you in my next video.